Execution. You are listening to The Competitor's Brain. This is Lauren Fox, and this is episode number 14. Today, I'm going to read an excerpt from The Mental ABCs of Pitching by Harvey Dorfman, who is one of the pioneers of sports psychology. And he's talking about execution of pitching, or execution of pitches, as it were. The execution of pitches, one at a time, is the singular task that moves a baseball game from its opening to its close. Everything in this book is aimed at and reduced to the execution of each pitch as it's delivered. Unfortunately, all the complexities that are part of the human condition, all the complications pitchers bring to the game of baseball, too often engender the execution of a pitch. In order for that pitch to be well executed, the depth, fullness, and complexity that is part of being human must be replaced by the limited narrow focus and simplicity of thought required to be a pitcher. An effective pitcher, that is. A character in a novel talks of someone who puts so much effort into squeezing in knowledge that there just isn't room left over for common sense. Many pitchers are guilty of that. They try to squeeze information into their heads about their mechanics, about the hitter, about circumstances, consequences. They leave no room for the common sense of focusing on the target, delivering the baseball aggressively. These pitchers fail to keep it simple. The simplicity of selection, location, and target is a required component of a well-executed pitch. Also, a pitcher's trust in his talent and preparation allow him to be relaxed, aggressive, and under control. Anything else gets in the way of effective execution. I tell pitchers that they're defined by how the baseball leaves their hand. By this, I mean the pitcher has control over his approach and his response, but not over the result, what happens to the ball once it leaves his hand. He is entirely responsible for how the pitch is executed, but not for how the batter behaves. If he gets an out on a poorly thrown pitch, he may be happy with his good fortune, but he should not be satisfied because of the result. His execution was not acceptable, and that is how he is measured, or should be. Conversely, if he makes a great pitch and the hitter manages a lucky hit or battles the pitch and gets on base, the pitcher surely has his momentary unhappiness about the result, but he did what he wanted to at the pitch. He executed it well. He had better understand that. As he is competing, the execution is all that should matter because it is what he can control. In order to be a successful pitcher, one is not required to have a genetic predisposition for understanding how to execute a pitch effectively. The understanding and skill can be developed. When interviewed a few years ago, Greg Maddux, the Hall of Fame pitcher, won 355 games, told the interviewer that he would not have had such success in his career if he hadn't started to learn to change his focus while with the Cubs early in his career. He learned the value of focusing on execution. Maddux says, I was worrying so much about winning and losing or getting an out or giving up a hit that it was affecting the way I was pitching. It was interfering with my ability to make good pitches, he said. Maddux said, execution made a lot of sense to me, so I tried to do it. It's easier said than done simply because you play this game to win, but at the same time, you have to forget about that and concentrate on what it takes to win. For me, it's about making good pitches. A few years after that, Maddux was pitching for the Atlanta Braves and left the game with a 2-1 lead after having pitched 7 innings. The reliever gave up the tying run. Maddux did not get the win. The Braves eventually won the game 3-2. After the game, Maddux said, he was asked, how was it out there tonight? Would he complain about getting a win, about not getting run support? His answer was, not surprisingly, exemplary. He looked with a knowing smirk and replied, 50 out of 73. All that needed to be said on the subject. He had thrown 73 pitches and had executed 50 to his satisfaction. No results, no explanations. Maddux evaluates his performance by assessing the ratio between intent and action, pitch by pitch, as he competes with himself first in order to effectively compete with the hitter.